Happy Army, URT, who are we? URT, who are we? URT. Big up to everybody. Love and light. Welcome to the show. Big up Jamie Wayne. Fucking hell, what I say by Martinez. Yeah, I was watching that game as well. Big up to all the people that are in here, man. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. Please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, man. Welcome to the Real Raw Red Pod. URT, URT. Who are we? Who are we? Let's be having you, people. Let's be having you. We've got Saeed. Saeed's going to be joining us in a minute. We've got Jarvis, Bowley, and then we've also got Tom, Mr. Tom himself, hopefully, to join us. But big up to every one of you. Please smash a like and subscribe to the channel. Like Zed just told there. He just told you there, clearly. Smash the likes and subscribe. But let's get into it. Villa, what a win for them. What an absolute win for Villa. I mean, I'm watching a Champions League tonight, guys. And I'm thinking, shit, how far away are we from that? We're far away from that, aren't we? Let's be honest, people. I see our team play. And then I look at that and think, what the F is going on? But people, genuinely, smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be talking about Erik ten Hag's presser. We're going to be talking about looking out to Porto. We're going to be talking about, more importantly, Benni McCarthy's quotes. We're going to look at the quotes in full because I see some selective retweets and selective videos about it. And people just want to go on, do something. And then when he says something they don't like, people then start to remix it. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. Shameless, man. Listen, you either take in everything that he's saying or you ignore that call. But on this channel, we don't shy away from everything. We're looking at it in full. And if he's going to tell us about certain things in terms of the players who don't want to try and stuff like that, he said one of the most telling things about Erik ten Hag. He said Erik ten Hag does not inspire. He's not inspire. He don't communicate properly. So we're going to talk about that tonight, people. And yeah, people who were saying who was going to be, yeah, big up to Donny, man. I'm so happy for Donny rebuilding his career. Love and light, people. But let's get into it. Hopefully the people will be with us in a minute. But smash the like on the video. Let me see where they are. Saeed's probably doing a match reaction to Bayern Munich Villa. And we'll get into it, people. But get your comments in, people. What you guys thinking? Get your comments in. Get your comments in. Get your comments in, people. Let me know what you think.
So my mum just called me and said, come to the gaff. It didn't sound too good, so inshallah, I hope it's on front. But I'll be back. So hopefully you're live by then. See you soon, bro.
Yeah, bro. Hope everything's good. Sending love. Peace. Let's go, people. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Saeed hopefully is going to be with us in about 20 minutes, hopefully. And we'll just crack on with this. But let's talk about it, people. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, people. Let's talk about it. Manchester United have gone. Let's see if we can see Erik ten Hag's quotes for tonight. For tonight's presser, people. Let's talk about it. Erik ten Hag quotes for the game tonight. Let me have a look, people. Bear with me, please bear with me. Big up to the Villa, by the way. Big up to the Villa. We're miles off those teams, man. Those teams play like teams. And we're not like a team, man, people. We don't play like a team. So it is what it is. But let us know what you guys think. Anybody there got the Ten Hag quotes? I can't see them from the press conference. Did any of you got any of the quotes? Why can I not see them? I just had them before and I can't see them now. Bear with me, people, please. Bear with me. Bear with me. Let's see what's being said in the press conference, people. None of the quotes are there. What's going on, people? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here we go. We got it now. We got it, people. So as Ten Hag, it's clear we started the game very poorly after we conceded a goal. No. That's not the presser. Not the presser tonight. People, is there anybody got any news about what's happening with Manchester United presser? Because I thought the presser was out already. I saw some quotes. Maybe I'm seeing things. Maybe I'm seeing things. But Erik Ten Hag is under extremely huge pressure tonight. And, my guy here, you know what I say to that, innit? You know what I say? We don't accept it. We don't debate. We don't talk to. We just hit that bam button, baby. We smash that bam button. We don't here to talk about with Zionists. We don't collaborate. We don't talk to Zionists, man. We don't debate with Zionists. We get rid of Zionists, man. That's what we do. We shake off the Zionists, man. Like fucking fleas. We shake them off. So, free Israel. Get the hell with that. Tell your mum, mate, and your dads, and your whole fucking Zionist crew, yeah? Tell them all. Fuck you, man. Tom, welcome. How are we doing?
Good. How are we doing?
How are we doing? Listen, I thought something wrong with the presser tonight. We haven't got the quotes. I thought I might be seeing things. But Erik Ten Hag...
There's been a delay on it, that's why, because apparently the flight into Portugal, they had a couple of problems.
Yeah, but it should be out now. It should be out now, though.
Yeah, but because the press conference was delayed, the notes are going to be delayed along with it. That's why.
No, but that's 2 hours ago. You're talking about 8 o'clock. So it was delayed, and it should be out now.
Are you on about the actual press conference or what they said? Like
yeah,
the transcript.
Oh, here we go. I got it here. There we go. We got it here. We got it. So originally it was scheduled at 7 o'clock, Tom, and now it's 8:30. UEFA officials say we're late for both Bayern and Copenhagen away press conference last year. So anyway, but here's some little quotes. Let's get into it. Mason Mount picked up a knock, and so he's carrying 2 injuries. Ten Hag hopes Shaw will be back after the internationals, but possibly not for the first game at Holton Brentford, right? No surprise there, people. No fucking surprise.
Listen, fuck him.
Ten Hag, we're mad with ourselves, especially when you lose a game like Sunday, but you have to deal with it. We're mad, and from the madness, we have to get motivation. Diego Dalot was speaking. Diego Dalot now not speaking with Ten Hag. Diego Dalot now not speaking with Ten Hag. What does that mean?
As in, like when they do a European press conference, they have a player next to them.
Oh yeah.
That's what it meant.
Okay.
That's what it meant.
Yeah. Okay.
It meant they weren't next to him.
Yeah. Anyway, Jarvis is here as well. Big up, Jarvis. Yeah, big up, man. Listen, people, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. But there you go. This is somebody saying everyone has to take responsibility. We start with me as the manager, but on the pitch with the leadership skills, they have to stand up. Okay, he's just waffling here. Big up to Ayush. Erik Ten Hag on proven results. Yeah, we got that. But yeah, he's just saying Shaw's going to be out, and I just don't see anything else what he's talking about. But we got a big game to talk about tonight, people. We got a big game. Not a big game. We got lots of things to talk about. Benni McCarthy, our boy Benni McCarthy. So people have been, certain big channels, I've been getting sent clips from big channels where people have been extremely selective. Welcome, Jarvis. How are you doing? Tom, how are you doing? First of all, let's get you guys in.
I'm good.
Good day.
I'm good. Can't complain.
Okay. Ian says Mount is finished along with Malacia shot. Absolutely criminal. Ineos didn't buy the left back summer, or at least loan when Malacia is coming back from that injury. Wow. But big up. The Judas saying Eric is down the corridor from electric chair. That's not too. Well, that's a bit too much. I don't want him to get any elected chair, man. That's just a bit of banter. Listen, that's just a bit of banter. Big up Sajinda. I want to get some of the quotes up that Benni McCarthy has come out with. Benni McCarthy. So I can tell you the most important one that I really want to look. Listen, he's telling us something that we already know. So first of all, he comes out and says, players are not basically training hard at the football club. That's what he said. He said players are not training hard at the football club. So he's saying that they're not training hard. Obviously, he's disgruntled because obviously he's lost his job. And basically, he said some of the players are not working really hard. But then when it came to ask about Ten Hag, he said Ten Hag tactically is really good. That's what he said. Let me get you the direct exact quotes what he said about Erik Ten Hag. He says, modern football, I think footballers, they want to see more passion in their manager. They need to feel the manager is with them and is ready to fight alongside them. Technically, I think Erik Ten Hag at the top. So just from that, what do you detect? I'll go to you, Tom, first. What do you detect from that?
Probably what you experience with a lot of Dutch managers. They're very tactical. At the higher level of football, they understand football from different perspectives, but they always follow the principles of the Dutch way of playing football. And Johan Cruyff is such a big inspiration in Holland for a lot of coaches, players, directors, just in general, with the way of his vision for football. And Erik Ten Hag is almost one of those disciples who has been born into that sort of era of it, where he understands how football should be played. And look, Ten Hag, we've heard this before, from players who've played under him at previous clubs, like Tadic has put comments out there about him before, and Kudas has put comments out there before about him in the media, saying that he's a very intelligent coach. He bases it upon tactical setup. But the difference with Ten Hag is, from what I understand, this tactical setup that he uses, and he's very good on the tactical side of football, he puts the players in a media room and puts a projector screen on and tells them where you're going wrong. He doesn't do it on the training field. That's the difference. He uses modern technology to get his points across. He doesn't base it on the training pitch. And I think that's where Benni McCarthy's coming from, where he says he lacks that fire and that passion, where you get a coach like, for example, a De Zerbi, for example, who he will use modern technology to get certain points across, but he will base it primarily on the training pitch and show you where you're going wrong visually, in person. He'll blow the whistle, pull the whole training session. You're 5 yards out of part of where you should be. You should be here. And then they reset the drills. And that's how he drills it into his players. Ten Hag, I think, is a little bit different in that case. And look, we know this with Ten Hag. He lacks charisma. He's not one of these managers. He's not a Mourinho who's going to run up and down, Old Trafford when Porto, Porto come to Manchester United and beat us at Old Trafford. He's not one of those characters who's going to be up and down the touchline and one of these hypermaniac coaches who shows his passion on the touchline. But I also think that it's not helping him in terms of getting communication across to the players of what he actually wants to do. I look, Benni McCarthy, you can say it for what you want, guys. Listen, people have depicted some of the shit that he's said out there in saying that, Ten Hag, he lacks, passion for the game and stuff like that. They've only read that part. They've not read the tactical side of it and stuff, where, to be honest with you, if you've actually watched the whole podcast, rather than read the comments of it, he's actually praised Ten Hag a lot more than he's actually slammed him in the media for it. But listen, he's an open-minded character. He's an open-minded, figure, Benni McCarthy. And, credit to him, he says what he sees. He points out the positives, but he also points out the negatives. And not everybody's perfect, guys. Pep has flaws in his management style. Arteta has flaws in his management style. Every manager has flaws in the management styles. But you hardly ever hear about it unless they leave or the people around them leave and they say where things need to change or where, they might not be as good at the high level. But look, he's made comments and stuff. To be honest with you, I think it's quite fair and balanced comments. But again, he got booted out of the coaching team to be replaced by somebody else. So there might be a hindrance of saltiness there, but I don't think Benni McCarthy is that kind of character, to be completely honest with you guys. But no, I accept his comments, and I think he's pretty much spot on with what he said.
Yeah, big up. There's people. There's nearly 400 of you in here. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We're still shadow banned because we're not allowed to talk about certain things. We're not talking about genocide. We're not talking about a Zionist entity bloody invading countries and try to start World War III. We will always talk about that. So if you listen, Benni McCarthy, if those of you don't know, is a South African. And who else? We've got our own very own South African on this channel. Our South African correspondent, everything that is in South Africa. Big up to Lesso. Lesso, have you seen the comments by Benni McCarthy? Can you give us a little bit about what Benni McCarthy is like? What kind of character is he? And do you believe he's in his assessment of Manchester United? Because he was there for nearly 2 years, I think. Was it 2 years? Or yeah, at least a year. What do you think? And then we'll go to Jarvis.
Okay. First and foremost, yeah. Big up to the chat. Big up Jarvis. Big up Tom. And yeah. With regards to Benni McCarthy, man, he's always been. I've known Benni McCarthy since '95. Pretty much around the time when I started really watching football, like that. But he's a straightforward character. In South Africa, we have a language called Afrikaans, right? It's actually very close to Dutch. It's an adapted African version of the Dutch language. It's just watered down a little bit, and pretty much it's a bit of slang and a bit of a bit of Dutchish. So Afrikaner people, basically Benni McCarthy's first language is Afrikaans. So we've always known Afrikaner people to be a little bit straightforward. They pretty much like Dutch people in essence, in the way they do not hide anything. They say it as it is, and it may appear the way they say something, it may appear that they're aggressive or anything like that. No, they're just being straightforward. They don't beat around the bush. They say it as it is. So I think it's fair comments from him. He's always been like that, Benni McCarthy. He's a Man United fan, by the way, as well. He's a long life Man United fan. He's been defending Man United for many years. There's a channel called SuperSport in South Africa where pretty much whenever the Champions League is shown, he was on the panelist, as well as Sean Bartlett. Sometimes it was Lucas Radebe, who was a former Leeds player as well. So he usually, every time they used to banter him, about Man United, whenever we lost under Sir Alex in the Champions League, so he's he says something, he's saying it from like a good place. He doesn't really just like make the assumptions of anything. He does actually watch the game. He does watch us every single time. So it was like a dream for him to actually be at Man United, in essence. As a fan growing up and watching the team that you basically, grow up supporting. And as well, let's not forget that he actually played in the Dutch league as well. So he was at Ajax at some point as well. And then that's when he moved to Spain, eventually. And then he moved to Porto. So, yeah, he's a very straightforward character. And that's just him, So, yeah.
Okay, Jarvis. Now that we got a little bit of a background, he's not a guy who chats rubbish. He's not a guy that's looking for headlines. And he's a Manchester United fan. I didn't know that actually he's a Manchester United fan. So, but there you go. We've got a South African correspondent with us. And you get the insights only in this channel, people. So, Jarvis, what did you think of the comments in full?
Yeah, I think, it was nothing new. Ten Hag, we all knew that he wasn't charismatic, so it's not a bomb that coming out that he's not, what was the quote? He said he lacks a bit of fire, that passion. And yeah, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't shocked, and I believe he's true. But we know also that Ten Hag, I think he has tactical skills, and he also said that. So I think that's important to take into account. So in a way, we could stick with Ten Hag, but if we do, we should maybe get someone else in on his coaching team, someone who can fire up the guys, because they need motivation to go out and play, because they don't know what to do if no one holds them up to the wall and shout at them and say, go out and fight, because they only make 350K a week. So of course we need a manager like that, who's charismatic, who knows what button to push.
Yeah, Jarvis. No, go ahead, finish.
No, I'm it's nothing new now. We are just trying to
I genuinely I see it differently, specifically differently. I don't think it's about charisma. I don't think what he was saying, I think we misunderstood to get the quote of a game. He's not talking about charisma. For me, it's quite telling, because look at the words he uses. And you know what? He spoke English for a long time. He's very profound in English. Like, you know, he speaks Afrikaner, but also so it's not like he's struggling with English. He says, in modern football, players want to see a bit more passion in their coach. They need to feel the coach is with them and is willing to fight alongside them. Mm-hmm. That is totally different from having charisma.
Okay.
I feel Eric is on top. He lacks a bit of fire and passion. Now, that's where I differ. He's saying him and I, right? But he says, for me, it's not charisma. Players are not looking for charisma. For me, what it shows is that it's almost that the player, he's away from the player, other than being a team. And this is the coach in 9A. Is that in modern football, I believe players want to see a bit more passion in their coach. They need to feel the coach is with them. It's with them and willing to fight alongside them. So there is a distance between Erik ten Hag and the players. Now, to me, that is ridiculous, because charisma is not charisma. People have charisma. Certain people don't. It's just one of those things in life. You know what I mean? Some of us are tall. Some of us are short. Some of us are a bit on the heavy side. Some of us are on the thin. Some of us have high metabolism. You know what I mean? It's like some of us have brown eyes. Some of us have have lost our hair quickly. Some of us went grey early. So it's not, to me, this charisma thing, it's not something that is certain people have. It's a certain energy. But the most worrying thing for me is that the players feel he's not willing to fight alongside them. That is, alarm bells start going off when he says the passion. They want to see a bit more passion in the coach, because I do think when we score, he shows it. It's like, but what I'm talking about in and around, right? That's totally different thing. People need to understand charisma is just a personality thing. Now, some people like personality. Some people are extroverted like me, very extroverted. Somebody like Jarvis, bit introverted. You know what I mean? Right? Somebody like Tom, between us. Somebody like Leto, maybe on the introvert side of things, right? That is what it is. No word of a lie, people. But when you feel like, as a player, the coach is not with you and is willing to fight alongside you, then why should you fight for him? Now, I know what you think, guys. Yes, you like, but they're wearing a Manchester United shirt. They don't need to be mollycoddled. But I'm sorry to say, people, in life, human beings, whether they're earning millions or billions, human beings are still human beings. It's the atmosphere you create as a coach. As a leader, as a manager, as a coach, what are you creating? Are you creating where you are asking the players to show passion, and fight for the shirt and fight for you? But if the players feel like they're not with you, and it's not, and you're not going to be fighting alongside them, that is a difference. And to me, it shows the lack of communication why players feel like that. Players feel like that because they don't get the communication from the coach. So for me, it's far more worrying, because I'm not asked about charisma. Do you think Pep Guardiola's got charisma? Pep Guardiola's got no fucking charisma. You find out Pep Guardiola's a player. He was a player, he played, he won. Now, people think because he wins, he's got charisma. No, he hasn't. He just knows he's not obsessive. He's even maybe more psycho sometimes in a training ground, the way he's obsessive with players. That doesn't mean charisma. Now, somebody who had charisma is Jose, laugh, making jokes, you know what I mean, winking, whatever. Klopp, larger than life, extrovert, you know, doing all that work, all that stuff. Yes, but I'm sorry. Ten Hag, I feel as though he is not communicating his passion and the fact that he's not with the players. And that is the most worrying. I'm not asked about your passion. Do the players feel like you're willing to fight alongside them?
Yeah,
That is a massive
Dino, I think.
Let me just say this 1 second. Ten Hag here, he says, we create lots of chances. The third highest XG in the Premier League. That is bullshit. We created a lot of XG at Southampton after we were 3-0 up, right? Once we went 2-0 up towards the end of the game and they had 10 men. At Liverpool, we were 3-0 down or 2-0 down when we were creating this XG. That is bullshit. We created XG in the first only game where we created XG from first minute till maybe 60th minute was against Crystal Palace. So this is what the stats, without context, not somebody needs to tell him this in the press conference. When is your XG created? Against Southampton, it's after you were 3-0 up and they were down to 10 men. At Liverpool, you were 2-0 down or 3-0 down and then you rally. That's bullshit. The only game that I'm counting the XG for 60 minutes was we dominated the game against Crystal Palace. Same thing, all that bullshit. But please, people, understand. Tom, come back at me what I said. Because it's not charisma. You can't talk about charisma and a manager fighting alongside you. Different
but Tom, let me just shoot in one quick thought. Is it a necessity to have charisma to be a good manager?
No.
So why do we demand this from Ten Hag?
No.
We didn't know he had a charisma. We know he had an aura when he came in from Ajax. He had an aura. We can all agree on that. But he didn't have charisma. He came in.
He didn't have charisma, but when you come in here making these.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. I'm not looking for fucking charisma. I'm not. I want the players, though, as footballers they are. You play football. I want the players to feel like the manager's with them and is willing to fight with them. If they're gonna fight for you, that's not charisma. Please do not mix up. Charisma is to do with personality. The players not feeling the coach is with them and is willing to fight alongside them. That is totally different.
Listen, some of these players, though, some of these players, right, especially in the Spurs game, right, when we went a goal down and everything, right, so you see a lot of coaches, and it doesn't even have to be the top coaches in this league. It can be, Frank at Brentford, or, it can be fucking Russell Martin at Southampton. When they go a goal down, you have a couple of players go over to the technical area with the coach and they get new instructions on what can we do differently, boss? Where can we find the spaces to exploit them? Help us almost find a pathway to goal, and then let's hope we can take our chances in the game. That game that we saw at the weekend, not one player apart from Garnacho went to that touchline to receive any sort of reconciliation of what the plan is, or even if you go over there and the message is just stick to the game plan of what we've discussed. Just stick to the game plan then, lads. But they didn't do that. None of them do that. And one of the even bigger things, guys, that I think gets questioned enough is, I don't think he's a great man manager. I'm going to be very honest in saying that. I don't think he doesn't have much of a joy around his players. We see a lot of coaches. Listen, you don't have to be this, like Dino said, this, lovable joy of life, right? But you can still put your arm around your players when they're in a shit moment. Listen, when Casemiro was losing his head against Liverpool, right? When you're going down the tunnel with him, put your arm around the guy. Yeah, he might have won more than you've ever won in your whole career, Eric Ten Hag, as a player or a manager. Put your arm around the guy. The guy's fucking, his head's gone, completely gone. He doesn't know where he is. He's playing passes into spaces that there's nobody there. Or there's just a Liverpool player stood there. I don't know if he got the wrong kit colour or whatever. But he's in a bad moment. And it's not just about Eric Ten Hag in that case, right? Bruno Fernandes is the captain. He needs to rally these players on this pitch. Listen, if you're the captain of this team, right, and you're the leader on that pitch that's been identified by that manager, you should be going over to touchline and saying to Eric and saying to the manager, what is the plan, Eric? We're going wrong in this game. We're sinking. We're absolutely sinking. There's a big hole in midfield. But the fact of that there's no change in that, what I've just said there, And the fact that he's been here 3 years, listen, I don't expect the guy to come out and fucking, kiss his players around the neck and fucking put his arm, put your arm around your players sometimes, Eric, and show them that bit of appreciation, that love. Yeah, in a bad moment or in a good moment, they've done something fucking spectacular. Put a bit of praise on your players for once, Eric, instead of all he does is he just relies upon statistics instead of saying, oh, you know what, Rashford today, in terms of the space, is around 30 minutes. He was brilliant at running in behind and everything. Give your players some praise at some points, and you might actually earn some brownie points with these players. But the fact of it, guys, is I just look at this squad and I think what I've said before to Jarvis at the end of the last stream when we were discussing it backstage, half of this dressing room is players that he knew from Holland or from Ajax, and half of the other players are what we already had here.
It's half and half.
It's half and half. The players that I see fighting for him are the ones that have some sort of allegiance to him because they've worked with him before, which is your De Ligts, which is your Martinez's, your Onanas. They're the players that I can see that are fighting for him. The players that don't have any sort of allegiance to this guy at all because they only first met him and worked with him when he came here, is your players like your Fernandez's, your Rashfords, your Garnachos, your Delos. You can understand that they're not working for him because they have no allegiance to this guy whatsoever. They've got managers sacked before, and they'll do the exact same thing to Erik ten Hag. And the old phrase of Roy Keane that lepers don't change the spots, they don't. They don't. And at the end of the day, when you have an unbalanced squad, and this is the only problem now, where when we hire a new coach, the only saving grace that I would have if we did get a new coach in is there's a lot of technical players in this squad that just aren't being used correctly. And I think a coach out there will identify his best starting 11 with technical players to fit into the style that they want. So long as you go for a manager who fits the players that we have right now. Otherwise, you have wasted £600 million over 3 years and you're just going to blow it all away and go off and spend another 600 million on a different style of play in a different direction. At the end of the day, a lot of these players, guys, can still be used under another manager. We said about Iraola at the weekend. On Monday when we were discussing about this. We said about Ruben Amorim. We said about all these other coaches, Nagelsmann. These coaches can use players like Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez, because why? They're good with the ball at their feet, guys. That's what modern day coaches want. Players who are competent on the ball and know what they're doing. And that's why I made the point before about players like Bruno. They will work with players like Bruno and Rashford in the short term. But if they can get them out in the long term, guys, they're going to do it. Your lover boy, fanboy players are going to go out of the door. And that's the only way we can ever move on from this. But the difference is, and I made this point last time, was if Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford, who are the two key leading figures in terms of the poster boy of United and also the golden child at the football club in Fernandes, if those two knocked on Omar Barad, Ashworth, all these guys' doors at Carrington and said, this guy's not good enough, he has to go, Erik ten Hag would go. Because the people at that club respect those two players based upon what they give in the ranks within that club. That's within the club. That's not what we think as fans. That's within the club, what they think of them. The difference is, if Erik ten Hag knocked on those people's doors and said, I want Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes gone, they won't go. And that's where the problem is. There is this this thing that we all said about that, player power has completely gone out of this club. It's never gone. Because your two leading characters of that brigade still stand at this football club right now. And until you eradicate one or probably both of them, guys, there is still going to be that willpower here. But the point I made last time anyway about that with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last game, when he put the captain's armband up and Bruno Fernandes didn't say a fucking word, that just tells you all that you need to know about who's leading your football club. When the going got tough, he didn't want to know you as a football club. So you don't have any respect to him now.
Listen, big up, Tom. I just find that worrying, and I think it's got nothing to do with it. But one thing he did say, and now we know why. I think he confirms why we always thought what we always thought, because Bruno must be amazing in fucking training. There were players throughout different parts of history who are just incredible in training, but when it comes to fucking match day, you don't know what the fuck they're doing. So Bruno, it must be incredible. That's why, Ole gave him the freedom, Ten Hag's giving him the freedom, and Diego Dalot has been one of the most improved players because when he first came, Jarvis, less so,
Mm.
he was quite inconsistent, wasn't he? He was a very inconsistent
Mhm.
young player.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised by this. This is true because we've actually seen it with Bruno. He might be good in training, but he's fucking shit in matches. You know what I mean? We don't see it. You know, we don't see it in the matches, but he's amazing. And he did say that. And he did also say that Erik ten Hag is one of the most smartest coaches I've ever met. He's smart, man, very smart. He's meticulous, detail-oriented. And he put everything at the player's disposal. So he makes information available. But Jarvis, on a human level, if you can be the best tactician, the best, but if I don't, everything in life, life, to me, you might think now, Nuruddin, you're waffling, but I am a massive believer in this. All human beings, majority of us, there are small percentage of human beings that like to be alone. They're in their own head. Like, for example, during lockdown, loads of some people I know, some friends of mine were like, most amazing thing ever. I didn't have to go to work. I didn't have to see people. I didn't have to connect with anybody. I'm in my own world. I've got my little family there, and that's all I need. Now, majority of the people in the world understand energy and connection. So how can Erik ten Hag be so meticulous, so smart, so detail-oriented, put everything in place? But then if they don't feel that they're connected to him, how can they carry it out? And I'm going to preface this by the greatest manager at this football club was never the greatest tactician. But one of the biggest things, I always say, Ferguson is one of the greatest sports psychologists in the history of sport. Let me repeat for the people at the back. I believe Ferguson was one of the greatest sports psychologists in the world, bar none. One of the greatest. Why? He turned average players, giving a performance of they will play beyond their limits of their game. Why is that? Because they felt connection with him. He got it out of them because they felt connection. And that's why Roy Keane, Roy Keane plays for Fergie. I was willing to die for him on that football pitch. So I'm telling you, what does it matter how meticulous you are, how smart you are, how you are, this and that? If you have not got that connection with the players to be able to go and carry out everything that you plan. For me, all your smartness, all your meticulousness, all of that's out the window because the players have not connected with you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jarvis.
I talked about this the other day when I told you about Ferguson. He never used it. Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt had a podcast, and they both said his training sessions were terrible. Not my words. But they talked about how good he was with the younger guys. He encouraged them to buy a home when they were 19, I believe, or 18. And they were like, wow, why would he want that? And he actually engaged into their personal lives. Ferguson knew the name of their parents, their wives, their girlfriends, their kids. He knew everything. And this is Ferguson, man management. So yeah, I have been saying that maybe this is what we need at Man United, not the greatest coach, but the greatest man manager, the guy who actually sees the players for who they are. And yeah, this is obviously not Ten Hag's biggest strength. He's a tactician, and I think this is what we hired. And for us to succeed, I still stand by my original thought. For Ten Hag to succeed, he needs someone else with him to help out with this.
You could argue, though, Jarvis, that we've had that kind of manager with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and look at where it got us. He didn't have the coaching, he didn't have the analysis, the tactics, the almost like the football education that you get when you associate yourself, say, with Dutch football, with Johan Cruyff, or with the FA, like some coaches get, like Eddie Howe's got through the FA, and all the rest of them, Southgate and that. Ollie didn't really have that education. It was he retired from football and he just helped out one of his local clubs in Norway that he was brought up in and around with Molde, And then from there, he got a pathway to Manchester United. And it was almost like his whole coaching career was fast-tracked because he had that connection to the club from being a player.
Well, he
But he
sat
had-
on the bench with Ferguson for 10 years, so
Yeah. Well, he had the man management of it, and he might have had, visual experience of it. But Ferguson, that was like 10, 15 years ago. Football's changed since then. People who make this out like Ferguson in the modern day era now, who would be competing. He's already said himself, I probably wouldn't be able to compete with a lot of these other coaches that are in and around me at the moment. Because for what I could bring to players in terms of, I bring this connection to the players and I make this unity as a team. I've said this to you, Jarvis, before. You had a generational talented squad that played Barcelona over 2 games in Champions League finals, and they got outweighed by a team that was properly drilled, properly coached in a style of play since they're 6 years old. They signed up to that academy. We had players who were kicking balls on Manchester streets from 6 years old, but they had that belief in a guy and in a manager who made them what they were. He instilled a mentality in those players. Mentality did not outwin over tactics and a clear philosophy of how you play. And that's why we got rings around in those finals.
I'm going to come in there, Tom, and slightly disagree. The first one, I'm a believer 100%. It was Ferguson's tactics. He got it wrong. He got it hugely wrong. In the first one, the one that was in Rome,
in the first one.
The first one, he got it totally. He underestimated them, and he got it totally wrong. The second one, that's probably one of the best performances from any team in any era in the history of football. 2011, Manchester United could have the most drilled, most coached, most tactically announced. They weren't beating that Barcelona. That was a team at the peak of their powers, where everything was clicking, where you had 3 players on the rotation.
But that's the way that football's gone now, though.
No. Let me finish, Tom. Messi at his peak. What's the guy who went to Chelsea? The guy, the left winger. What was his name? He was going to come to us, but then Chelsea stole him in the last minute.
Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro. Pedro Villa and Messi were just unplayable. With Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets, they were unplayable. Those six were just out of this world. Right? Out of this world. But the first one,
style, yeah.
the first Champions League, I believe it was Ferguson tactics that got it. And I have not just said that. Giggs has come out, Gary Neville have come out,
loads of them
Park have come out.
Yeah.
They've all come out and said, nah, he didn't. Because what he did in that final for me was ridiculous. But listen, I want to go to Lesso. Lesso, what do you think about what I was saying about the connection? Now, what Jarvis says, Jarvis is old school football. Somebody who can get man management, and then you hire a charismatic, so you hire a very tactical number 2. But Jarvis is saying it's the opposite. We've got a very tactical coach who the players feel distance with. They don't feel connected to him, which is ridiculous to me. And our theologist said this: players should fight for themselves and fans regardless. That's not how football works. That's not how sport works, mate. If you think that, then you're absolutely... That's the ideal. The ideal is these dickheads are getting paid millions. What do they need to be connected? Just get on with the job. That's not how sport works. Sport is not like what you do when you go to work, fella. It's totally different. It's an entertainment industry. You need to be able to psychologically be inside each player, know what makes them tick. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Fergie would shout out Wayne Rooney and Ryan Giggs. Why? And Patrice Evra. Why? Because he knew they were strong enough. But if he shouted at Anderson, Nani, or even at times Ronaldo, their confidence will dip. So what he would do is shout at Giggs, shout at Rooney, shout at Evra, and Rio and these guys, shout at them, give them the hairdryer. So then, and when they've had a decent game, so then Nani and Anderson and Ronaldo and these guys think, shit. He's shouting at these guys, and I don't think this guy's played that bad. I thought he defended really well. Or I thought Wayne Rooney's on a fantastic half. What's happening? So then I think, oh shit, right? Because he knew the ones to shout at. He knew the ones to put an arm around. And in sport, I'm sorry to fucking say, it's specifically in football. If players are not going out on that pitch willing to die for you, then then you're not going to get the best out of them. So Jarvis is saying we need a very connected human being as number 2 for Ten Hag to succeed.
Yeah,
I think that's very difficult because I've never seen it like that. I've seen it the other way. I've seen a tactician. That's why Fergie bought in McLaren. McLaren was one of the best coaches. Before that, Brian Kidd was a very talented coach. And then Pep had him for a long time. And we saw how good Brian Kidd was as a number 2, as a coach. Then he went and got, what's his name? The guy, Carlos Queiroz, one of the most defensively, off the ball coaches in the world at that time. Right? Played that Portugal model football where they believe, what are you doing off the pitch? You can control games without having the ball. But in midfield, he made us more solid. We went 25 games unbeaten in the Champions League. Like so many games we went on. I think City broke our record or equaled it the other day. So what do you think the type of person that we're looking for? Like, do you think it can be done like Jarvis is right, that it can be done? We can get a charismatic number 2. Not charismatic, sorry. A connection number 2, where the players feel like, yeah, he can get into the players' heads. Or do you think that Erik ten Hag is fighting a losing battle if the players don't feel connected to him? Go ahead.
I think, to be honest, you need both of them working. You know, if you look at Sir Alex, who he has brought in as number 2s, I mean, players could actually go to Queiroz as well and actually, you know, speak to him and, you know, especially the likes of Ronaldo, Anderson, Nani, and all these other guys. They could go to Queiroz and actually, you know, somewhat like relate with him or, you know, be close to him. Like basically at Man United, the players were close with even the assistant manager. So it's not just Sir Alex. So having both, it's actually crucial. You know, on both sides of the coin, you have 2 guys you can go to, you know, whenever you have problems or whenever you need something, you know, you can go to either of the gaffer or the, you know, your assistant. So Sir Alex, if you look at his number 2s, all of them were open, you know, with the players. I've never heard Man United players actually talk badly about the number 2s or, you know, not have somewhat respect for their number 2s, for Sir Alex number 2. Like it's like he was an extension of Sir Alex in a way, you know. And Sir Alex always made sure that he picked them, he selected them based on that. He didn't just select anyone for the sake of selecting anyone. He selected someone he could respect, you know, as well, you know, just in front of the players to show that, you know, even without him sitting on the stands, you know, they'll be able to listen to this guy, you know, and they'll be able to, you know, I'd say adhere to him as much as they do to him. So for like personally, you know, you need to be, I'd say you need to always make sure that your stuff is in line with your characteristic as well, and they need to be an extension or a better part of your extension. You know, that's where Sir Alex got it right. You know, and you have to, as a manager, you need to understand your players. You need to learn how to be, I'd say, approachable, but also people to respect you at the same time. Don't be on. But those times I think they've changed. I think managers nowadays need to be. Even Mourinho said it in the Spurs documentary. He said players, you need to, you know, you treat players differently now. You know, you can't treat them the way you used to. You know, they used to treat them during Sir Alex time. You have to, you know, some you have to. Obviously, they need an arm around their shoulders. Some they don't need that. You know, there still are some players who are hardcore who don't need, who can be shouted at, who can be got at, and then they react positively. And there's obviously a mass majority where it's like, you know, you have to like, you know, basically put an arm around their shoulders and, you know, and basically be like a sort of like, you know, a brother or an, you know, a father, sort of father figure. So yeah, I think Sir Alex with him, like I said, it's self-explanatory. All his number 2s were all approachable. Queiroz came in. He was, I remember even, what you call it, Anderson used to say that was the guy that he could also go to because, I mean, he was Portuguese speaking as well. So, and he actually helped them somewhat, helped them adapt, you know, somewhat to the life in England as well. So it was kind of like he was very strategic in picking his number 2s in essence. And his number 2s have also helped him in the terms where, you know, they improved his overall way of how he looks at the game. I mean, if you look at Sir Alex always basically redefined himself. You know, he wasn't the same manager he always was. Like, you know, he always, like, there was absolutely evolution in the way he used to see the game. You know, it always grew. And so it was due to the number twos and the technical team that he always kept picking. So, you know, I mean, as a manager, you just have to learn how to adapt in essence. That's what I'm saying, because, you know, you have to always look at how the game is going. And then that's how you determine who you bring in as a, you know, as your number two or your number three.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Carlos Queiroz who booted Ruud van Nistelrooy out of the club because of Ronaldo? They were both Portuguese.
No,
I believe that the history. And David Beckham, when he went to Real Madrid, Carlos Queiroz was the manager, and he set Beckham on the bench. He didn't let him train.
Yeah, it was mainly Roy Keane. I don't know about Food Van Nistelrooy. Basically, I know that there was a fight between Van Nistelrooy and Ronaldo because Van Nistelrooy wanted that after Beckham left, Ronaldo was doing a too many step overs and he was telling him put the ball in. You know what I mean? Get the ball crossed. And there was a fight for them. But I know that the reason why he left Manchester United, Ruud van Nistelrooy, because his agent from season 1, they were always looking at Real Madrid. They were always looking to go out here. And Bill and Fergie fell out really because of that, because his agent was always coming out with comments in the press about Real Madrid and stuff like that. But the guy that he fell out with, the one that he 100% fell out with, Carlo, was Roy Keane. Roy Keane in Portugal. Roy Keane talked about it many a times. It was Portugal in a training complex in Portugal with the wives and stuff like that. And then he told him to like do something, threw the bib at him. And then Roy Keane went berserk. So, and then Fergie, and then all that bubbled over when they came back. They got it sorted for a while. Then it happened when he made. So Fergie was looking for an excuse to get rid of Roy Keane because Carlos Queiroz and him weren't seeing eye to eye. And Gary Neville and I always make jokes about it, you know, the ex-Manchester United players. But in terms of Van Nistelrooy, he always wanted to leave. But he did have a fight with Ronaldo. He wanted to beat up Ronaldo because Ronaldo wasn't getting the balls in. Yes, he put him on the bench. But after that, how long did he last that?
Okay, Tom, do you know the story with Ruud and Carlos Queiroz, or the fallout?
I know about the fallout that he had with Ronaldo and everything, and what Dino was saying about with the agent and everything is true, because Ferguson fell out. As much as people say Ferguson fell out with players all the time, predominantly most of the time where he fell out with a lot of players was down to their agents, because they just made demands upon the club, or they wanted to take their client elsewhere because they thought they can go bigger and better at a different club. And that's why what Dino said about with Van Nistelrooy, he just perked up for years. Because the rumours came out of that because he always wanted to go to Madrid. And Ronaldo at the latter stages of it, guys, it was all the same. Because Real Madrid were always going to sniff about those superstar players. And they just come along and pick the ones out that they want. And they still do it to this day, do they not, guys? They've done it they've waited like 5 years to get Mbappe out of PSG. They've waited a long, long time to get that kid out of that team. They wanted him before he went to PSG, and they wanted him all the time that he's been there. And now they've ended up getting him. So Real Madrid have got this past tense version of it that they do this to football clubs. But the minister, I think, because he wasn't playing the balls in properly and stuff, and he was taking too much time with the ball. And we know Ronaldo was a showman back then and everything. And obviously, he's evolved his game to be a goal scorer rather than a showman. But at that stage of football, that's when Ferguson said, you've got to start cutting the crap out. And that's what Dino said about that he never used to bollock or shout Ronaldo, because he knew that it would hinder and lower his confidence upon it, because he knew he was one of his better players. And that's where man management comes in. You know, players who you can not necessarily target, but you can say the right words to them and it sort of inspires them in a way. And there's other players where you just have to say certain things in a different tone or a different tense, so then they understand it better, but they also respect the way that you're putting it across to them, because they're from a different culture, or the environment that they was brought up within means that you have to speak differently to them if you want to get your point across to them. And that's where what I think, when we've probably summarised with this thing now with Ten Hag, is he just doesn't get his points across. He's probably got the right ideas, guys. Yeah. He just can't get his points across properly to the players because he's not that kind of guy. He's not.
Yeah,
Van
yeah.
der
Listen, at
Gaag.
the end of the day, for me, I think in modern football, man management is more than ever. Because back in the day, people were more tougher psychologically. It was a different time, different kind of
It
like
was a different era
lifestyle.
of football, Dino.
People
Yeah.
were like, you could be shouting at people and then they can go out and show you and like, I'm going to show you how good I am. Nowadays, people are different. It's a different generation. So man management is the keyest thing to football right now. You can find analysts to help you with the tactics, but the man management, if you're not connected with the players, you're going to always struggle. And now, genuinely, the reason why I wanted to analyze that, and I spent a long time on it, is because now it makes sense now. Thank you, Benni McCarthy. It makes sense now. People have always said that Erik ten Hag looks a bit distant. Tom has alluded to it. A lot of people have alluded to it. But a guy that's worked with him, who also is not doing it for clicks and he's not doing it for clicks and likes. He's not doing it. He's doing it because you got asked a question and he's been honest. So at the end of the day, wow, you know what? People have got time on their hands. You know? You got time on your hands. Big up though. Big up to the trolls. I appreciate it. I take the hate and give it back. No problem.
It's a compliment. It's a compliment.
Yeah, it's a compliment. It's a really compliment. But the biggest thing is this for me. Now it makes sense, and it makes sense why he's struggling, and it makes sense why players can't adapt to him. Even his own players who worked with him before, are finding it difficult. But let's move on to the Porto tomorrow. Big up Sheikh Ariane Rashid. Big up to everybody in the chat. People, there was 450 of you at one time. There's 380 of you still in here, and we're not even, how many likes are we on? We're not even on 300 likes. Like, it's crazy how many likes we're on. We're on 216 likes. That is shambles. Let's get to 300 likes for the channel. And big up to all those who subscribed. We were 9 away from 11,300. So we've reached that to the 40 subscribers. Big up to everybody. The channel shadow banned. But here we have the real and raw debates here. That's what we do. But another thing that I wanted to get to, let me just get this super chat. Big up Mick. Mick is saying, Mick, it's thanks for the herbal tea. I'm not a drinker. Here's my donation for the pint. Forget United, go down the pitch, have a drink on it. Listen, look like Mick's defeated. Looks like Mick is tired talking about Manchester United, but fair enough. Big up Mick. Wow, more compliment. I mean, the amount of time they spent making fake accounts, like, to come and troll, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like, yeah, this is it. So Fergie built the family kind of thing. But I wanted to quickly talk about, actually, there was another super chat. Let me just get the other super chat as well. There's one more. Big up Suj. Suj said, big up everyone. Hit the like and subscribe, people. Yeah, big up Suj. I always appreciate you. Yeah. In terms of Porto, how important is this game, Jarvis? I'll go to you. How important is this in terms of, because I think Erik ten Hag is already a gunner. I find it really, really like how unprofessional and unprepared psychologically like a football structure is and the ownership of a football club. When a football club and a football structure and the ownership tell you manager's got 2 games to save his future, I find that really difficult because I'm like, well, what about the opposition got red cards in that game? What about if they got a penalty that wasn't a penalty and they win playing horrendous football? So these ideas that managers have got 2 games to save themselves, I don't really believe in it. And I always think it's exactly the same thing. Don't give a contract extension of 1 game, right? You don't give a big wages to a player of 1 or 5 games. You analyze them over a season. And then you see what consistency, see what they're doing, have a chat with them to find out what ideas they have. So this idea of me that he's got these 2 games, for me, I think he's done out here. The club might use that as an excuse to get rid of him. But I believe the way he wants to play, the only way that Erik ten Hag can do a 360-degree turn, and let me repeat that, 360-degree turn, if he drops Bruno, plays 4-3-3, plays more compact football, right? Compact. Asks the wingers to defend, right? Just like Arsenal do, like Man City do, like they come back and defend, right? And people work hard, and then there's accountability to it. But I don't see that. I don't see how you get that just like that. So for me, the way he's talking, he talks about having 8 trophies in 6 years and all this bullshit. I'm just like, that's ridiculous. So what do you think about the 2 games? And do you agree with the club? And is it just a journalistic thing? Remember when we were getting so-called links, we were like, yeah, coming out the next 3 days, next 4 days, Qatar, Ineos, by the end of the month. You know, all this. Is it just a paper thought? Is it a media invention, Jarvis? That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I think Ten Hag is here to stay for a little while. So don't get your hopes up. We don't have the money to sack him and bring in new people. It would cost us too much money. We didn't have the money to buy a left back before the season. And look, we have played 8 games and we still don't have a left back. So this is the state our club is in. So we just got to be real. That's my first point. Second of all, when it comes to the Porto game, I expect nothing more than us to win that game comfortably. I saw Porto play against the Bodø/Glimt, our next opposition in the Europa League, Norwegian team, and they were played off the pitch, and Bodø/Glimt had 10 men. So this Porto team is not the greatest, to be honest. So we need to win. What I would like to see improve from the Spurs game is our press play. It's really important and it's vital for how we want to set up, because we press high. And if we press high and we don't press good, we easily get overplayed. So our press play need to sit. I don't think Porto will try to press us high. So playing out from the back will be easier this time. I think they will give us more time on the ball. I would like to see Rashford start on the bench. I would like to see Bruno start on the bench. It will never happen, but I would like to see it because I think it's important for Ten Hag if he wants his press play to work, because it's obviously not working with those guys. I showed you some pictures yesterday on the press play. I can just go quick through it here if it's okay with you, Noradin. This is the game against Spurs. I will add it to the stage. And this is the first 30 seconds of the game. Here you see Spurs are playing the ball in between themselves and the trigger point when we want to press, because we press in a 4-2-4 formation with our wingers a little bit higher up, almost in a flat 4 up front. So when the opposition start to play out from the back, they play the ball in between them. And when they, for example, play to the goalkeeper, one of the strikers try to cut the pitch in half. So Bruno now is going into the press, and you see this is the trigger point. And Bruno is pressing the goalkeeper. So the goalkeeper has one option: hoof it long or play it to the other center back. And that's the trigger point for Rashford. So this is the point where Rashford needs to react before the goalkeeper passes the ball, because it's very important. You need to go on the press before the ball is played. You can't go after the ball is played, because then it's too late. So obviously he got the ball. Rashford, he's 2, 3, 4 meters too late. And Rashford, he presses from the inside, not from the outside. So it's easy for Spurs to play themselves out. As you see, he plays the ball out to the fullback. So this is how I see our press play. We have players who are not awake. They're not on when the trigger points goes. And this is a really big problem. So for Ten Hag to win this game, we need to fix the press play. We saw it in the friendlies this summer when we had Mason Mount playing. That was really interesting because he's really good at this. He reads the game well, and he knows when to go because of the trigger points. So I'm not sure how we're going to do this with Rashford on the pitch, because then we might as well just stop pressing and play more compact centrally and just stand there and absorb the game with the mid block and try to play on our strengths as players individually. But I don't see Ten Hag do this. I think he will just try and try and try until he fails again and it's too late. But my assessment, it shouldn't be that hard to fix.
I genuinely think I'll be shocked. I don't think it's just the press. I think players look clueless. I don't think it's just the press. And I think by now, season 3, if Rashford and Bruno do not know how to press, that is an indictment on the coach. That is an indictment. If this was the first season, if he's only been here for 3 months, I could agree with you, Jarvis. I'd be like, okay, you know what? He needs to fix these little things, you know, here and there, a couple of technical issues. He can sort it. Not in year 3. Not in year 3. To me, that means your captain is not listening to your game plan, and he's the captain. And that means one of the most experienced players who's at least played for the past since Van Gaal, who's one of your guys in the team, and he's not listening to you either. So that to me shows me a lot. It really shows me a lot. When you add that with what Benni McCarthy said, because I have that as preference, Leto can say that he's not a guy who does things, says things, wild, crazy things for saying it. He actually speaks about what he assesses, and he's a United fan. So for me, I find it worrying. I think it's very difficult to get players back. When players start losing, especially in big games against rivals. Now, I don't know how Porto are playing. I don't watch that Portuguese league. But for me, it's the Villa game. Villa tonight won, full of confidence. They've had a couple of injuries. A couple of players went off. But they got a win tonight. And they had a plan. They stuck to the plan. They had about 30-something% possession. They give Bayern Munich the ball, and they stuck to it. And they defended really,
36.
really well. They got the basics right. So I think that's the game that I'm going to judge him on. You know me, I don't like shitty Europa League. I'm not really judging Erik ten Hag. That's why you didn't see me. I came back. I took some young people to the game the other night against 20, FC 20. And I came back. I wasn't that stressed. I wasn't going berserk because I don't really like that competition. Like, genuinely, not like that competition. So for me, I'm not looking at Porto. I'm looking at this season, teams above us. It was Spurs, it was Liverpool, and then on the weekend it's going to be Villa. So for me, it makes things make sense to me. And the only way he's going to get it back if he completely abandons, puts 3 in midfield, plays more compact, plays the mid block, and then tells players you're going to get a fine if you don't fucking keep hold of the ball and pass the ball. You know, like you get fouls in the NBA. You know how many fouls you give away when you play basketball? You get 5, you sit on the bench. That's the type of mentality they need to have with the passing. Like, if you don't do the pass and the press, what we worked on, then you're coming up. I don't see him having that accountability, even though he comes out and says. And for me, when I look at the record from last season to this season, it's fucking shoddy. Gary Neville has got a better record in the last 25 games in terms of Erik ten Hag and Gary Neville. So for me, I find it really difficult. He has to pull one big genie out of the bottle, less so, and then we'll go to Tom. For him to turn this around. Go ahead.
Nourdin, can I just answer one question before we go? I just want to address this from Lavani. You know, it's very important to understand this when it comes to press play. This comment, but Jarvis is the press come from the outside instead of the inside. That the center back passes the ball into the inside. No, it's not like this. I will just show you how it is. Because this is the press point. Bruno is cutting the pitch in half. So Bruno is pressing here. And now the trigger point is Rashford goes up, and we have here Kobe Mainoo who goes up here. But he can't go until Rashford goes, because Rashford is the guy who decides when the press starts. So it's not a problem. Everybody needs to be on board. You go man to man and you press this really hard, and you be aggressive and you be tight on your man. So it's not that hard. So I just wanted to answer Moreni on this question, if it's okay.
And for me, that is flawed system when you get in the 2 worst pressers who don't even know how to run. They don't know how to run. They both run quite straight and they're quite square in their press. You can never be, you need to press like that, sideways, like where one foot is in front of the other, so you can cut out the pass. You've got balance. Not that somebody can just chop inside you because you're so square like that, you're running at them like that, and you're running at, and they just chop inside, and then boom, the press is dismantled. So for me, this is what I see of the flawed nature of Erik ten Hag. 2 of the worst pressers in the team, both of them are the triggers. And that, to me, that's why he's not going to survive, me personally. he's not going to survive. Unless he goes mid-block, right? Mid-block, and then gets people behind the ball, cutting out the passing lanes, and maybe have somebody else as the trigger. Then everybody goes who's confident. Not somebody who's going to run like Marcus Rashford who's square, and not Bruno who's headless chicken. Like, I can't see it. But go ahead, Lesso, and then we go to Tom.
Yeah, it's very difficult, man. The game tomorrow is going to be difficult. We're not doing well ourselves. You know, we always say that other teams are going to be easy to beat, but you know, we ourselves can't. You know, we struggle to beat even the teams who should be beaten. So, you know, our away record is horrendous, anyways. You know, never mind that in Europe at the moment under Ten Hag. And then you've got Porto, who are not that bad at home. So for me, it's very tricky. I can't say that we're gonna go there and win. That's what I said. So
tonight. Nina's in here. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Mundo is in here. Fucking hell, everybody's in here. Go ahead, Jab. So sorry. I'm just really like, I'm big them up for the creativity. Like the fact that they keep getting these photos and making up YouTube. Unbelievable.
Keeps coming back, eh? But you know,
Honestly,
it
is it me or does it take a lot of effort? Like to be sitting in front of the computer getting Nina's photo, my photo, Saeed's photo, Lala's photo.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, he's got terminance. I think he's prepared for this.
You know these people,
Never
Tom.
mind.
You are?
Are they fellow journalists of yours, these guys?
Listen, fuck knows. Samuel Luckhurst on the burner accounts or something. I ain't got a clue that they've been banned from the press, mate. So they've got to do something in Manchester Evening News.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. You know what? Can you get in touch? Seriously, I need a TikTok editor. So come ahead, man. Come. Let's talk. Go ahead, let's talk. Sorry, I don't go to Tom.
Yeah, besides the interruption that we keep getting, but yeah, it's very tough. You know, we're facing a team that's gonna try to win as well. You know, they didn't win their first game; they lost as well, so they're on 0 points. We on 1 point. We are a team that's very low on confidence. We've got Bruno Fernandes, we've got Marcus Rashford who are gonna start. So, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose. You know, I want to believe that we could win, but you know, when you keep making mistakes like that, you know, keep picking the same players that are causing, who are basically, you know, destroying any way you want to play. And let's just see. But I think he may switch it up a little bit, you know, to save his job. He may do it. You know, if they say there's 2 games left. For him to do something, I mean, he may switch it up and actually play with the low block. You know, that's what I'm thinking. Because anytime his job is on the line, he always tends to do that. He tends to be ultra defensive, so he may try and go for that, and probably flood the midfield. But we'll see. But Porto is no pushover at home. That I can tell you that much. You know, so it's going to be very tough. We're not good away from home either. Anyways, our away record, like I say, in Europe, it's horrendous. You know,
Fucking
but
terrible.
You can say that again, man. But yeah, let's just see what it goes with. But I see Rashford and Bruno starting again. You know, Bruno had that red card thing, and I think he should have, you know, it got rescinded, I guess. And then obviously, you know, he's gonna play. He's gonna start him. You know, I don't see anyone else starting that number 10 role. That's his guy. You know, I think we need to just make. We just need to actually, you know, accept that's that. You know, no matter what we say, he's always gonna pick that guy. And yeah, I see us playing. He's gonna, if he's stubborn, if he's really that stubborn, I think he will play with the 3 again in midfield. But yeah, at this point, I can't really predict what he's gonna do, more or less.
Do you
But
see
I know
him
what
saving it? Do you see him turning this around? Last question. Okay.
No.
Tom, do you see him doing a 360, turning it around? Do you see this? Do you think it's about a couple of things about pressing and sorting out the press, or do you think there are structural and fundamental problems?
I just think there's problems throughout the whole team. And look, the best example I can say for it is when we brought in Ugarte, I was the first one to say that it's not going to change the problems that we have in midfield. It's not going to plug this hole in this gap that's there. If you play Ugarte and Casemiro, okay, we might have a conversation about it. But you've got to sacrifice another midfielder to play 2 sixers. And the fact that we have to play 2 sixers to have any success in a game of football, that's damning. Because there's very few formations, apart from if you play 4-2-3-1, that you can fit 2 number 6s in. And that limits your flexibility as a team to play different roles or formations. So, unfortunately, like we saw at the weekend, Ugarte, he can only do so much on his own. Just like Casemiro could only do so much on his own. There's a lot of these players, guys, that we've said before, and we'll say it again. We've been here before about partnerships and connections. We all said Fernandes and Pogba, they can play in the same team. They couldn't. We tried it, tested it. It just didn't work. But at the end of the day, the problems have always been that big hole that's been in midfield. Now we've just got players who have got that much confidence. They just run at our defence. Centre halves are just running 50 yards through his team, and nobody's touching them. Take them out. Take a yellow card. Do what you got to do, lads. That's all I'd say to them. But if he wants to go about changing it, and he wants to even have any sort of a chance of maybe turning the tide, the best advice that I can give him, seriously, just play your best players. Play your best players. Stop this favouritism bollocks. Just play your best players. It's as simple as that. And the fact of, if you want me to define it as who is his best players, let's not base it upon who's done well for you in the past, Erik ten Hag. Let's base it on who's actually done well for you this season. Eriksen, for me, I think has been one of the better players in our squad this season. He should start. Cobby, for all the praise that we've given him last season, guys, he looks burnt out. He needs a break. Forget this 3 weeks off that he had in the summer. He needs a break. Take him out of the team. The kid's played a lot of football recently. Take him out of the firing line because he's just not been himself. And I've said this before and I say again, we ruin talent. So Cobby's a prime example of what I would do in this game. I'd put Eriksen in there and have some experience in. I'd put Ahmad in. I couldn't, for the life of me, understand why he took him out of the team in the first place against Spurs. It just made no sense. Garnacho is an impact sub. Probably the only thing that we probably could have held on to in that Spurs game that you might have got some joy out of. But at the end of the day, for me, we all know that the decisions that should be made is Fernandes should not be in this team. And it's not this agenda BS that some people try and portray out there. It's just based upon who's performing and who's not. He's not performing, guys. He's not performing. He's failing us as a team. He can't lead this team. And that point that I made, that damning statement 3 years ago with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I've only just brought it back up now, guys, yeah. But at the end of the day, if you can't lead a team, and the first thing is, guys, he didn't even know the vice-captain was on the pitch against Spurs to give the armband to. That's how shocking it is inside this dressing room. They don't know who's what. They don't know what each of us roles are, or like Jarvis just said about this pressing thing. If Rashford doesn't initiate something, none of them have anything left to follow on. And the game plan's completely blown up because one player doesn't know or doesn't want to stick to the game plan. Yeah. Rashford is an individualised player. He's never going to be a team player. I've said this for years. So why people put the praise on him to say, oh, well, at least if he scores a goal, he's doing something. That's all that he's got to his game is goals. That's it. And if he doesn't score, he doesn't provide you anything else. Fernandes is pretty much the same, guys. If he doesn't create an assist or a goal, do we really talk about him in much praise in the game? No, we don't. But for me, where I think with Porto, from what I've understood with their team anyway, they have got quite a good squad, to be fair to them guys. You know, they've got a couple of young players in there. They've got a kid on the wing, Pepe, who's fucking is rapping his fuck. You know, Galano on the other side is quite a prolific sort of goal scorer from wide, and we know they've got a good goalkeeper at the back in Costa who can get them out of a lot of tight situations and stuff. But the way that you can almost limit the damage in this game is just play your best players. And for me, if I had to pick the best players, I'd probably stick with the same back four that we've had. because I don't think it's. Put it this way: it's the best we've got. We haven't got anything else. We've got no left backs. We've got no fucking left backs. Don't even get me started on the Shaw and Malacia shit anyway, because it just makes my blood boil every time we even bring them up. But if you play Ugarte, Casemiro, and Eriksen, would anybody really complain in that frame of mind, guys? I personally wouldn't. And for me, if you want to play a front three, Højlund, he needs game time, guys. The only way he's going to get up to proper scratch fitness is you need to play him consistently. There's being fit and then there's having match fitness. And the same thing with Ahmad on the right-hand side. And look, if you want to play Garnacho in this game, play Garnacho in this game and stick Rashford on the bench. Or play Rashford. At the end of the day, he has got to win this game. There's none of this draws anymore. He's got to win these next 2 games if he's got any chance of holding on to anything. And if he doesn't, guys, if he loses both, or let's say he draws both, it doesn't matter. If the performances are still the same and he's not getting the results either, he will be gone in that international break because there's enough time where they can manoeuvre him out, put somebody in place in the short term and find somebody in that 2 weeks. It can be done at big football clubs. It happens every single season. A big football club makes a big manager change. So it can be done. And the fact of it, listen, Erik ten Hag, you can no longer hide behind statistics. And the one thing that I'm going to give him as a fair warning for tomorrow when we play Porto is this team, if they want to play with the ball at their feet, they're quite good with the ball at their feet. But if they want to transition on you, they will kill you with the wide players that they've got. In the exact same warning I gave him when we played Brighton, the wide spaces is where Porto are going to be so dangerous tomorrow. Watch. I promise you, watch. And if they score a goal, I don't expect it's going to come from wide play. But at the end of the day, the biggest problem that we have, guys, is that big hole in midfield. And I've given you the solution to it. I've seen the solution work in a game. I've seen it work. Yeah, it was against Barnsley. Listen, they played it a little bit against Palace, and I saw it working, guys. We weren't getting played through midfield. Play Ugarte and Casemiro, and he's got a chance. If he doesn't, hasta la vista, Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, I would rather play Collier than Casemiro, to be honest, just to create some movement around Eriksen, because Eriksen is really good on the ball. That's me personally, but I think you are onto something. And even you talk about the back line, I would.
What can you change?
I would think about maybe dropping Martinez even for Harry Maguire, because he has looked off. Because we force him to defend in big spaces, and you know he's almost at the red card every game, and he struggles. So I think even he could have good of a little break before the Aston Villa game.
But do you think though that in doing that you're not just going to break this back foot? The thing that we always say about with defence is we've never had a consistent team that just plays week in, week out. If this is the players that he's relying on, 3 of those defenders at the back, Jarvis, are ones that he's bought and he's picked. So he's got a quarter, and Delo's almost like his 4th signing because he's improved him. He's a player that he likes and he always picks. So consistently play the back 4 that you believe is preferable to you, but also he's going to get you results. That back 4 has got us clean sheets this season. It has, albeit we've not won the game in, say, Palace. Or, for example, when we played against Barnsley, for example, it wasn't mega opposition, but it's got him clean sheets. It's got him some brownie points, if you like. But at the end of the day, with the defence of it all, if one player runs through that whole team like they did at Spurs and FC20, and it's not been addressed again, that is a serious issue, and that is a coaching issue. But for me, if you play the balanced midfield that we just said in Eriksen, Casemiro, and Ugarte, you should not have any player run through that midfield at all. Because it's solidified. You don't have one player in front, you have 2.
But they do, Tom, because you'll have Bruno and Rashford pressing like headless chickens. The rest follow, and the gap between the centre-backs, like I explained it, in the second half, Casemiro goes and presses the right back. He's going there and pressing the right back, right? The distance between Bruno and Ugarte is 30 yards. The distance between Ugarte, who's on the halfway line, between our defence, is 40 yards. Make
Yeah,
it
but
fucking make sense.
Yeah,
Don't
Fernandez
make-
isn't the number. Fernandez isn't the number 9 though, and this is why I don't understand why he's this pressing trigger. The number 9 should be your spear. Like the pressing trigger should be your spearhead of your attack. For example, Liverpool are the best pressing team that I've seen for 5 years, guys. Whoever they have at that number 9, whether it was Firmino, Nunez, Jota, that person initiates the press. They put pressure on the goalkeeper. Whichever side he selects to go to, Salah or Mane or whoever they have on the wings, presses the fullback. They then have to force it into midfield, and then that's when the midfielders track those players, and then that's where you get the ball retention back when you want to hybrid press. The difference is teams nowadays are very smart where they have that one player that can just turn you. They can just turn you like a bottle cap and then they're away. Or they can play one little pass around the corner and bang, they're out of the press straight away. The difference is pressing, we might be effective at the higher end of the pitch, but when they break the press, guys, our resistance when the press is broken is fucking terrible. It's the worst I've probably ever seen at Manchester United. When a team gets round the corner from our press and they run at us, we run back to our own goals like as if we're on the war zone and we're fighting for his lives. It's almost like you're just getting gunned down and you've got no solutions to it. The difference is in this game, like I've said before, if you play Casemiro and Ugarte, if they break that press that we've just said there, Dino, having 2 players in front of the back 4 is better than having one. Who as we've seen, when we play one of Ugarte or Casemiro on their own, they're getting exposed. When they've played together, they're not getting exposed. They understand each other's games and roles.
This is where I agree with you on the whole point, but I disagree with you. Under Eric Ten Hag's tactics, every midfielder is getting fucking exposed, Tom. Everybody's getting exposed.
But if you put
because
2 in front of
what
defence,
he demands
it's better
of the
than one.
players where to be on the football pitch. So he's asking the central midfield players to press the right backs and their centre backs. No, with a defence all the way back from 20 yards from our own goal.
That's when you, but in that pressing system that you've just said about, that's when he's using, say, Fernandez and Ericsson or a Kobe Mino. When he played Ugarte and he played Casemiro in the same team, not one of them are pressing. Not one of them are pressing high up that pitch.
Tom, it doesn't matter who he's using. I need people to understand genuinely. Eric Ten Hag's football, structurally, it demands so much from the players. It's asking the players to be 100% perfect. And everything they're doing, the rest defense. But he's not getting it out of the players. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Doesn't Pep demand the same from his players?
No,
or do we have like a leeway to everybody can just slack off? No. Every good manager or big manager has that expectation from their players. They need to be 100% for it to work.
Jarvis, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. But the difference between Eric Ten Hag and Pep Guardiola is that Pep Guardiola, have you seen, just Google now, YouTube, Pep Guardiola training. He literally, he's got a whistle. He stops there every time like Van Gaal used to. You know what Van Gaal used to do? Van Gaal have the whistle, game's going on, stop. You do this, start again. They do the drill again and again. They're obsessive, like literally in training with a whistle. No, do it again. And what the Van Gaal and Pep have is that they're fanatics. They're obsessed with this. So then the players have to be super obsessed with it. And the thing about it is that from season 1, they didn't compromise and go, I'm going for trophies and burn players out. They didn't do that, Jarvis. They go from the first day and they try it regardless of the results. They drill their football. Eric Ten Hag has got no foundation to go back to because he completely changed the style of play. And then he's telling us, I want to play like Manchester United. He's so stupid because he thinks Manchester United will just gun-ho, like play basketball, football. No, he didn't. Ferguson at times, you know when teams come to Old Trafford, I was there in the stadium. He would give the ball to them. Give the ball to them, and then we all go back slowly. They start playing out, getting a bit of confidence. Boom! We set the trap. We win the ball back. Bam! 1-0 down. You know what I mean? Then they have to change the game and come out. So I just do not understand this. I don't. And Tom, I swear on my mother's grave, from everything that I've seen, and I'll go to the grave and die on this. From everything I've seen from Erik ten Hag, you can get prime Seedorf, prime Xavi, prime Iniesta, right? Prime Paul. You can bring all the best midfielders in world football, and he'll make them look like dickheads. Because structurally, the way he sets the team up, it's so dysfunctional structurally.
Yeah, but I'm not on about the team, Dean. I'm on about just pick the best players that are going to nullify where your problems are.
No, but Tom,
That's
that's
the only solution
Tom,
he has right now.
No, Tom, he doesn't do that. What he needs to tell them is, guys, play compact like you did in the last 4. All he needs to do is go to the TV room, right? Or get them a laptop and show them the last 4 games of the Premier League and the Cup final and say, guys, no, look, against City, we did a low block. Majority of the games, we did mid block. He just told them, whether we are up the pitch, we've got the ball and we're attacking, we stay together. Our distances cannot be more than 25 yards, if that, between the 3 lines or the 2 lines back to the defense. We cannot. And then Unana is a sweeper keeper. We saw that. And the thing that what kills me is that I know he can do it, and he doesn't want to do it. So for me, he's sacking himself. And anybody that's supporting this madness, because you didn't need to see it. You didn't need to see it against Liverpool. It's like people are like, oh, but Liverpool, we played. What the fuck? Spurs came. In all my life of going to that stadium since I was 10 years old, I have never seen a Spurs team this attacking minded. Never in my life. They had Bentancur and number 8. He's not a number 6. He's never been a number 6. He's just a Uruguayan footballer, very aggressive. He's very aggressive. He gets around the pitch, right? They came with him. They played Kulusevski. They played Maddison as the 2 number 10s, right? Ahead of him. Then they played 3 up the pitch and absolutely dominated us. Dominated us. We huffed and puffed when the game was 2-0 for a bit, and that's all we did. So I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I just don't, unless he does 360 degrees and actually plays compact football, whether we're pressing up the pitch, whether we're pressing mid-block, or whether we're doing a low block. I can't see it happening. I just don't see it. Structurally, Erik ten Hag is ridiculous. I have never in my life known a coach like this. Never in my life. I swear to God. When I watch his games, I'm dumbfounded. And that's why last season I was telling the majority of you who didn't want to fucking listen, I was telling you it's got nothing to do with the injuries, but everything to do. Bro, you're crackling, Alesso. You're making lots of crackling sound. Sort it out, bro. Sort the sound out, right? You're making incredibly loads of structural issues, and players look confused. At the critical moments, they look confused. And that's why in 2 consecutive games, with even different squads who's starting the game, we've had defenders run with a ball from the back line, from 25 yards outside their area, and run at the heart of our defense. And when that keeps happening, it's structural stuff. They don't understand what the fuck he's telling them. And the saddest thing is that half of them, these players, he's coached before. And that's the scary bit. That's the fucking scary bit. But go ahead, Jarvis.
Yeah, you're onto something, and you make a lot of good points. I just want to clarify when it comes to Ten Hag. I see a lot of people in the chat are giving me a hard time because of this, and they can't understand why I'm Ten Hag in and stuff like that. I tell you what I am. I am a Man United fan, as you guys. I support the club. We are not enemies. We support the same team. I have a different opinion than you, but that's it. So this is football. We have opinions. Now I think the rhetoric has become between us as fans, fellow fans of one club. It's been like hate. We are totally divided. It shouldn't be that way. We should have a grown up conversation about how it is and what we feel and how we see things. It's maybe we are not that differently, even though I think I support Ten Hag at the moment, because I want the manager to stay on for at least three years, because I'm sick of this rinse and repeat, sack a manager every 2 years, every 2.5 years, sack him, start again, rebuild. And we are kind of deluded, because we always want, as Nuruddin always said, we love a savior, and we love a scapegoat. And this is us as a fan base. This is what we have become. We are crying out for a hero to come in and save us. Oh, bring in Amorim, bring in whatever. He will save us.
No.
Well, for me, I just want to see out. I just want to see out 3 years. Whatever, if we go down, I don't care at the moment, because I just want us to see out 3 years with this guy and see what it brings, because we haven't tried it. I just want to try something else.
Listen, this is it. I respect Jarvis's opinion, and I disrespect it. It actually makes the show that we have people who see the Jarvis is a football man. He's a football man. He just understands the football club, and that is the principal point to take. Other than to try to say, oh, Ten Hag is doing this and it's going to get better. For you, that's the principle take to say, guys, we sacked managers after 2.5 years. I'm just about giving him 3 years, see what he does, see what happens at the end of the season, and then we can have that conversation. And you know what, Jarvis, I can respect that. But what I can't respect is people telling me, oh, we see something. And the structural things that are wrong in the game, where we, this season specifically, when we come up against inequality, we get taken apart like that. That's the bit I don't understand, right?
Mm.
And the types of football that he wants to play. 1 minute he wants to play possession football with Eriksen, your favorite player. Jarvis, one of your favorite player, possession, two-touch footballer. Next minute, he wants to have road runners. And like you showed us last night, Bruno hoofing the ball to him. Like, I just don't understand. I do not understand that. So for me, I'm like, that's why it's confusing. 1 minute he wants to dominate the ball. He wants to play possession football from the beginning of the season. Against Fulham, we had more possession. Liverpool, who beat us, we had more possession. Southampton, we had more possession. Crystal Palace, we had more possession. You know what I mean? Spurs, we had 30-something possession, if I'm not mistaken. They absolutely took over us, smashed us around. So at the end of the day, for me, it's the principal point of view. I totally understand. And that's why for me, but I actually believe that actually we've got good players, technically good players, right? You take 2 or 3 players out of that first team and replace them with good people. I think Manchester United would have a decent team, and a new coach would be able to get best out of us. Not to save us, not to take us to a league, not to take us to Champions League, but to actually get us playing decent football. And I'm a believer that with decent football comes confidence, comes connection with the fan base, comes with getting more quality and more energy where the fans can trust the manager or can trust the players. And we don't have that at the moment. We don't have that. We've not had that for 12 years. But that's what I believe. I thought Erik ten Hag was the guy. I wish he was the guy. Even right now, I wish him to turn it and to shut me up and silence me, to turn it 363s, make Manchester United compact, to connect with these players, to say it's us against them. Give them the siege mentality that Ferguson used to do. It was us against the whole world. Us, the fans, the club against the whole world. I would love for him to do that. But unfortunately, he's not doing that. But I wish for him to do that still. I just don't see it. Structurally, what I seen last season with my own eyes at the Champions League games, what I saw in the league games, I kept saying it. It's got nothing to do with the injuries. And I have been vindicated this season. And I don't want to be fucking vindicated. I want people to come at me here and say, Nuruddin, you were fucking wrong. Manager showing you. Bruno has shut you up. I want people to fucking come on here and say that. Because if they're saying that to me, then Manchester United are fucking winning. Stop being no pessimistic, Nuruddin. I'll be like, okay, fair enough, guys. I give credit to this player. Like I'm doing now. I do not read Unana. I don't. But if we did not have Unana for Southampton, Crystal Palace, and Spurs, we would have definitely properly drawn the game at Southampton. We would have got beaten, most likely at Crystal Palace, and we would have conceded 7 at Old Trafford the other day. So that I'm fair enough like that, Javas. You know me. Players who I do not rate, I can come and say this and that. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, I understand. Totally.
So for me, that's what I want. I just don't see it. I just can't see it. And I'm not going to lie to you. You guys might think it's a throwaway comment. Benni McCarthy has woken me up and solidified things that we thought about Erik ten Hag. I'm not asking for charisma, but if the players don't feel connected to you, you can be the greatest fucking tactician. If they don't feel connected to you, they're never going to carry that out. They're never going to do it. And I see that on the football pitch. It makes sense now. Big up, Craig. Where do you draw it up in football versus football? No, for me, it's not about that. For me, Manchester United as a club have responsibility to play play football that is open, attractive football. It's on the club shirt. The thing is there. The history of Manchester United were rail workers who were working out all week to go and watch, be entertained. Goals, wing play. This is what exciting Manchester United is. Never say that attitude. These are the things. I want a coach to come in and do that from day one, regardless of the results, till the players get it and understand it. Remember, Areola, he came to Bournemouth. First 3 months, they were like, oh, they're going down. Why the hell did they get rid of O'Neill? 3 months later, bam, the players understood his style, tactics. The results went.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's what I need at Manchester United. Like I said, we're not in no rush. We're going to go back, challenge for big trophies. But we need to crawl, then walk, then sprint. That's what we need to do. Go ahead, Lesso.
No, I actually agree with you on that. But yeah, I think it's only because he doesn't want to change. But he is capable of doing it. I think that's what frustrates people more than anything else, to be honest. But it is what it is. We know who he is. We know we've always said that we know how the manager reacts and how he is, like, generally in terms of his personality. I remember Rance used to even talk about it a lot as well on his show. About him probably not being more approachable and connected to his players. So I think it's a personality we saw, and we felt maybe he'll somehow get over it. And in the beginning, I think I also was a bit skeptical, because I've never seen a manager who's been like that become highly successful at top level. It's usually the ones that are very well connected with their players, and they build this type of team spirit that's unmatchable. And so with him, he always seemed like he was very, very smart man. It has been said a lot of times that he's very smart, and he's good tactically. But now the problem is, how are you gonna get people to buy into what you're doing? You need to first connect with them, isn't it? So that's why I always say, as a manager, I think you need to. I think it should be compulsory for you to learn how psychology, in a way. You need to study that. It needs to be something that's part of the course. I think it should be. I think it is in sports management. I think so. You need to know that, because you're dealing with human beings at the end of the day. Just like a person who's at human resources dealing with human beings on a daily. So it's something that every manager needs to have. I think in their locker, they need to learn that, learn how to work with people, learn how to work with different people, and understand different people from different cultures, their personality, and how to address someone with this kind of personality and that kind of personality. So unfortunately, Ten Hag lacks this, and it's what's letting him down personally. Besides being smart and you can be the best coach, as you said, you can be the best tactician. But if you lack that connection with your team, doesn't matter who you are, you're just not going to get it over the line. As a result, I mean, the reason why you are successful at Ajax, I think they forget, is that at Ajax I wouldn't say there's no, like, this sort of the arm around the shoulder type of thing. You don't really need to be connected with players like that, and every manager that walks into there, it's personally, like, they've been drilled like this. They've been drilled since they were 10, 11, some of them. So personally, you know, that's the Dutch culture. Like it's never been about you know being connecting to someone. It's more about authority, being authoritative. If you think about it, you know, I went to growing up, I went to a school where my principal was was an Afrikaner, you know, and we did speak Afrikaans. And the culture, you can see the shift in the culture and the school culture. It was not about him putting his arm around my shoulder or anything like that. He was an authoritative person. Every one of those teachers were authoritative. There was none of that. And then I went to a middle where I went to middle school for. It was an English-based sort of, I would say, school. It's an English medium school. So the teachers were more caring. They were more about putting around put your arms around the shoulder and sort of thing. So it's a difference in culture. I think that is why Dutch managers don't actually do that well in England as a result, if you think about it. So yeah, it's unfortunate. That's where Ten Hag is lacking slightly as a result, and it's just not gonna. He was just not a good fit in the Premier League, to be honest. And yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is. But even Mourinho said it himself, because Mourinho did study psychology, by the way. He did say himself that that's what you need to do. We need to adapt the way you approach the game. It's no longer the same. So that's just where a lot of managers get left behind. That's why some managers can succeed in certain places and can't anywhere else. You know, so that's what limits them. You know, like I say, in the Dutch league, it's different. It's different. Like, you know, in the Dutch culture, it's very different. There's no this arm around the shoulder. There's no softy sort of thing. I think they're more a bit hard. You need to be authoritative. That's why a lot of them are hard. You can't shout at them, and he's not gonna sulk. You know, that's how they are. Most of these players, that's how they're built. So it goes all the way from development side all the way to the first team and to the national team.
Yeah,
they built
listen,
like
100%. Yeah, 100%. Big up Nas M87. Nuruddin, I worry United fan base only looks to stack every 3 years. We put hope on players to save the club, and the foundation is broken. It's like building a house, get the foundation. No, 100%, I agree. I totally agree with that. I don't blame everything that's the problem on Erik ten Hag. I don't blame everything at the club at Erik ten Hag. Glaze is still 47% of the building. Manchester United are still in debt. Manchester United coming short to breaking FFP rules. So I don't blame everything on Erik ten Hag. But what I see on the football pitch is ridiculous to me. Lack of structure at this high level. And I kept saying it from last season. And for me, the basketballification is come back. I saw it against Liverpool. I saw it against Spurs. And when we come up against any decent team, we get found out. So 100%, I think the club is toxic. I always said that until the vultures leave. I don't think people understand. Yeah. Until the vultures leave, the club is going to be toxic. And the reason why the fan base is because of the disillusionment, Jarvis. It's disillusionment. That's why the fans want to get at each other. You know, we're disillusioned because we have no power. We can't get rid of the Glazers. You know, we can't. And Jim the Rat has helped them stay.
It's eating us up from the inside. You know,
and that's why. That's all we've got to fight is to go, you're a manager in, manager out. But for me, when I look at it objectively, do I want Erik ten Hag or any other manager? I want every player to succeed. I want every player to be technically good. I want every player to work hard and bring Manchester. Because, man, I want to win. I want to win playing good football. The thing, I think what Craig was saying earlier, let me just get it. He was saying that I don't want to get hammered. But that's the difference between me and you, Craig, because I personally, I don't mind taking a short-term pain for a long-term gain. I'll take the short-term pain for the long-term gain. And if you want modern coach of style of football, it's going to take a couple of months, 3 to 6 months, for the manager to get his ideas across, to play the way he wants to play. And for me, Erik ten Hag should have done that. Should have never on his principles. He should have been a training ground coach, not worried about any trophy to Manchester United in his first season. And when he laid down that foundation, whole squad knows. So when he takes the one player off, the quality might drop, but the system of that player does not drop. That's what we wanted from him. And unfortunately, he didn't do it. I know Manchester United is a circus. I don't blame him for everything. But to get embarrassed again and again, get humiliated and concede goals and see where the game is flowing. And also, as the manager on the touchline, for you not to do anything about it, I find it ludicrous. I just find it ludicrous. But anyway, we can be here all night and day talking about this. We'll be back tomorrow for the match reaction. Jarvis, are you available tomorrow for the match reaction?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jarvis will be here. Lester will be here. Hopefully, Tom will be here. Make sure you check Jarvis out. Jarvis Cockaboli 77. Make sure you check out Lesso Black Rain at Black Rain. Let me just put it on there. You need to change your thing, bro. Let me just put this in here. Black. Black. Is it R-E-G-H, yeah?
Yeah, R-E-I-G-N. Yeah.
So what is it?
It's R-E-I-G-N.
Yeah.
G-N.
Yeah, G-N. There you go. At Black Rain.
Yeah, I'll
check
need to
it
change it.
Yeah, Black Rain. Yeah. There we go, people. Go and check it out. I'm dyslexic, so you got to help me out with the spelling. But it is what it is, people. Please let me know in the comments. Let's see if we reached our target. I said we should be on like 290. Let's see. Let's see if we reached our likes of target, people. Let's see if we reached our target. Let's have a look. Ooh, well, we are actually 14 likes away. 14 likes away from 300 likes. Let's do
13.
it, people. Let's do it. 13 likes away. 13 likes away from 400 people. Let's do it, people. Come on. Let's do the countdown, people. Let's do the countdown. Let's do the countdown.
12.
We're 12 likes. We're 12 short. 12 short of 3,000 people. 300, sorry, 300. Nuruddin, how many times have these players thrown the manager under the bus? Luis Van Gaal, Ozil, Ralph Ranier. We need 10 new players, open heart surgery. Actually, we've almost got there, bro. We've almost got that, to be fair. Look at the amount of players that Erik ten Hag has signed. It's more than 12, 13 players. You know what I mean? So we've almost done that, and it's still not working. It's still not working. To me,
Well,
I think
it's still not working. But you know, when did we sign half of them this season?
of course
This
it's
summer.
not.
This summer, and
Yeah.
they all came in late. Besides Euro, and he's injured.
Yeah, man. Big up Vaz, man. I appreciate Vaz. Hope you good, Mr. Next time I get in trouble, I'm bringing you to court. I saw you dismantle Marcel today. Big up to Fast. Make sure you go and check out Fast. Fast football. Was it Football Nation? Planet Fast. Sorry, go and check out Planet Fast.
Yeah, you know, did Marcel turn to the dark side, or is it?
Yeah. He folded.
Okay.
He folded like a loaf of bread.
Oh, it is
But
what
Ty
it is.
still holding on. Ty still holding on. Neji was unwell. So yeah, big up to him. But big up to all of you people. 300 likes. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic, people. We've had a fantastic show tonight. I really liked it. Very passionate. We got the points across. We agreed to disagree on certain points. I want to big up Tom. I want to big up Jarvis. I want to big up Lesso. Go and check out Black Rain, Paulie77. And this is my Twitter handle. I always forget this. It's just crazy. Mr. Structor, that guy Red Devil on Twitter. I'm getting shadow banned, by the way, because I'm posting about politics a bit. And you can see I'm getting shadow banned. Fucking hell, everywhere, man. I can't believe it, I swear. It all started with Facebook about 5 years ago. Now, I don't even use that Insta that much. But Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, I don't even post anything. But anybody know any good editor on TikTok, let me know. I would like somebody on TikTok, so let me know if they can do that for me. That'd be amazing. Planet Fast been doing Freddie Mercury. I want to be free. Big up, man. Big up Alien Tenor. Big up Pete. Make sure you go and check out Alien Red Devils on YouTube, people. Go and check the channel out. Love Pete. Loads of love. Players didn't throw LVG under the bus, to be fair. No, they didn't. They actually won a trophy.
Yeah.
It just he had so many injuries. Remember the second season, he had so many injuries. He used so many players. But his thing was he let a lot of players go, a lot of experienced players go. He fell out with them, to be fair to him. But they didn't buy the players that he wanted. Free Palestine, free the Congo, free Lebanon, free the world from militarism, free the world from the war machine, free the world from racism, free the world from supremacism, free the world from colonization. Solidarity with everybody resisting against racism in this world, colonization and imperialism. You've got my respect. Love, solidarity, light to people. We lose or draw, Glazers out. Jim the Rat Judas, get the fuck out of this football club. You know? Big up AK. Big up Craig as well. And big up all the people, man.
Yes.
Had a really good show. Yeah, unfortunately, Saeed couldn't join us. Something came up. He'll be with us next time. But love and light, people. Look after each other. Take care.
Peace.
Good night.